established rich coming right back at you. This is one of those stories where you have to slow everything down and be careful about what you say and how you say it. Because at the center of this story is a 14-year-old girl who lost her life and a family that is dealing with a pain that most of us could never understand. So before we get into any details, I want to send my condolences to the family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez because this is first and foremost about her. Now, this story centers around singer David, also known as David Burke, and his recent arrest, which is connected to the death of Celeste, who was only 14 years old. According to reports, her body was found last September inside of a Tesla that had been impounded. And that detail alone raises a lot of questions about how this situation developed over time. Now, fast forward to April 2026, and the LAPD makes an arrest at David Burke's home in the Hollywood Hills. This happened 7 months after the body was discovered, which is an important timeline to pay attention to. Because when you see a gap like that, it tells you that investigators were taking their time to build a case. And it also tells you this wasn't an immediate reaction, but something that developed over months.
I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Michael Brownlee. NBC4 Investigates was first to break the news of David's arrest. He is now being held without bail for the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The teenager's body was found inside of David's impounded Tesla. That was back in September. He was reportedly on tour at the time. NBC4's Alex Wazir joins us live with new video and reaction now from neighbors. Alex.
Michael and Colleen, this is normally a very quiet road here in the Hollywood Hills, but about 24 hours ago, it became a police scene as the LAPD arrested the singer David outside this home.
It felt like 100 police officers, a canine unit. I heard someone on the megaphone saying, "Surrender, surrender, come out."
The arrest comes 7 months after 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found dead in the trunk of his Tesla in a Hollywood tow yard. I spoke about the arrest with legal analyst Royal Oakes. What's your reaction?
It's a huge question about why it took authorities 7 months to arrest this man. The DNA evidence probably was gone because there was so much deterioration of the body. Plus, the authorities wanted to talk to lots of witnesses. That probably explains the gap. The fact that they have made the arrest now suggests the authorities think they have a very strong case.
Around the time of the singer's arrest, NBC4 shot exclusive video of David's attorney, Blair Burke, leaving her office. Then today, NBC4 Investigates obtained surveillance video that appears to show the defense attorney near the police scene minutes later. This afternoon, Blair Burke returned to the home where police arrested the singer and made no comments as she left.
For the DA?
But Blair and the rest of David's legal team released a statement saying, quote, "Let us be clear, the actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. There has been no indictment returned by any grand jury in this case and no criminal complaint filed. David has only been detained under suspicion. We will vigorously defend David's innocence."
Now, after seeing that, you can see how this story is being reported and what information is being emphasized. But there are still some very important details that need to be understood clearly. As of right now, David Burke has been arrested, but he has not been formally charged with. And that distinction is extremely important because an arrest does not equal a conviction. He was taken into custody based on probable cause, which means law enforcement believes there's enough reason to hold him while they continue their process. But the final decision on whether charges will be filed comes from the district attorney, not the police. And this is where the legal side of this story starts to get more complex because legal experts are saying that it is unusual for someone to be arrested without formal charges. In most cases, the district attorney reviews the evidence and then decides whether to move forward with charges. But in this situation, it appears the arrest happened first, which raises questions about the process. Some legal analysts believe that law enforcement may be pressuring the district attorney to move quickly. And that type of pressure can happen in high-profile cases where the public is watching. But again, none of that confirms guilt or innocence. It just speaks on how the process is unfolding. Now, another important detail is where he's being held. Reports say he is not in a standard county jail, but in a local holding facility. And that matters because it ties directly into what could happen next. If formal charges are not filed by the district attorney within a certain time frame, he can be released. So this is a situation where everything is dependent on what happens next from a legal standpoint. And that's why it is important not to jump to conclusions until all the facts are in.
What's interesting about David's arrest is the LAPD cuffed him on probable cause and not an indictment from a grand jury investigation that was being led by the LA County District Attorney.
Is this highly unusual?
I would say on a case like this, it's a little out of the norm for the police to have gone out on their own and arrested him without the DA's office having made the decision to file formal charges.
Former prosecutor turned defense attorney R.J. Dreiling says it's possible the LAPD did this to push prosecutors to charge.
Guilty. But this is not exactly what you were looking for, right? I think we all imagined that when there would be arrest, there would be a charge, right? That this was going to be a grand jury indictment. So I'm curious, from a human point of view, how do you feel after 7 months that he has been arrested but not charged? One of the things we were wondering is this grand jury, this reported grand jury that's been hearing evidence, were they just an investigative grand jury that didn't have the power to indict? They were just there to hear evidence, get subpoenas, lock in testimony. So what actually will happen by the end of the day on Monday, end of the day on Tuesday?
Well, I imagine, I would not be surprised. There's going to be a couple different angles here because the DA's office is going to come under a lot of pressure right now. But that doesn't mean that they're going to make a decision on pressure. So they'll probably use, I would imagine, most of the day on Monday. They can only hold a person so long without being charged or cutting them loose. And
now, after seeing the full report, you can understand why this case has people paying close attention, because there are still major questions that haven't been answered publicly. Now let's talk about the defense side of this situation. David Burke's legal team has come out and stated that he is innocent and that evidence will show he was not responsible for this tragedy. And that is their role in this process, to defend their client and present his side of the story. Just like it is the role of the law enforcement to present evidence and the role of the courts to determine the outcome. But while all of that plays out, there is something that we cannot lose sight of. And that is the fact that a young girl lost her life. This ain't just a case. This ain't just a headline. This is a real family dealing with a real loss. And that should always be the center of the conversation, no matter what happens legally. Now, as this story continues to develop, there are going to be more details that come out. And there are going to be a lot of opinions from people who may or may not have all the information. But the best thing we can do right now is stay patient and let the process play out. Because rushing to judgment don't help anybody. This is one of those situations where the truth will come out over time through investigation and through the legal system. We hope. And until then, all we can do is follow the facts as they're presented. So again, I want to send my condolences to the family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And I hope that whatever the truth is, it comes out clearly and brings some form of answers to those people that are hurting. And for everybody watching this, just remember that not every story needs a hot take. Sometimes it just needs understanding. And sometimes the best thing we can do is let the facts speak before we do. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Established Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.